Welcome to Hypnos Cosmos. Find a comfortable place to lie down and let your body settle into it completely. There is nothing you need to do now, and nowhere you need to be. Tonight, we are going on a long, slow journey, the longest journey there is, outward and away, all the way to the edge of everything. And there is no hurry at all. We will drift, gently, from this quiet room where you are resting, out past the moon, past the sun, past the last of the planets, out beyond the stars and the great clouds where stars are born, out through our galaxy and beyond it, past 1,000 other galaxies, to the very furthest shore that light itself has ever reached. And then, softly, we will turn and come home, and you will already be asleep. So let us begin, as every journey begins, with a single breath. Breathe in, slowly, and let the air fill you. And breathe out, and let a little of the day leave you with it. Breathe in once more, gently, without effort. And breathe out, and feel your shoulders soften and sink. There is no need to breathe deeply, or in any special way. Simply let the breath come and go as it wishes, like a slow tide, moving all on its own. Feel the weight of your body now, held by whatever holds you, or the bed, the pillow, the soft ground of the earth beneath it all. Feel how the earth carries you, as it has carried you every night of your life, without ever once being asked. You are resting on a world that is turning, slowly, through the dark. And you are safe here. You are held. There is nothing to reach for, and nothing to fear. Let your eyes close, if they have not closed already. And in the darkness behind your eyes, let a soft picture begin to form. Imagine that you are lying just as you are, but that the ceiling above you has quietly melted away, and above you now is the open night sky. A deep, clear, velvet sky, scattered with 1,000 faint stars. You are warm. You are still. And you are beginning, very gently, to rise. Not with any lurch, or any speed. You simply grow lighter than the air, the way you sometimes do at the edge of sleep, and you begin to float upward, slowly, like a feather lifted on the softest breath of wind. The roof of the world falls away below you. The room, the house, the street, all of it grows small and quiet and far. And still you rise, without effort, without sound, up through the cool and gentle dark. Below you now, the whole of the earth begins to curve away. The lights of distant towns gather into little pools of gold, scattered across the darkened land like embers of a dying fire. Rivers turn to threads of silver where the moonlight touches them. And at the edge of the world, where the land meets the sky, you can see the faint blue line of the atmosphere, the thin, soft shell of air that wraps the whole planet, the only thing standing between all of life and the empty cold of space. It is so thin. Thinner than the skin of an apple, held against the size of the world. And yet it holds every breath you have ever taken. Higher now, and the curve of the earth grows rounder, and the sky above you grows darker still, until it is no longer blue at all, but black, the true black of space, deeper than any night you have known. The stars no longer twinkle here, for there is no air to make them shimmer. They shine steady and clear and unblinking, each one a distant sun. And below you, the earth has become a great sphere, blue and white and turning, wrapped in slow rivers of cloud, glowing softly with its own gentle light. Take a moment, here, just to look at it. This is your home. Everyone you have ever known, everyone who has ever lived, every story ever told, all of it, on that one blue sphere, turning quietly beneath you. From here you cannot see the borders, or the troubles, or the noise. You can only see how beautiful it is, and how small, and how held it is in the great soft dark. Let that quiet feeling settle in your chest. You are looking at the earth the way only a handful of people ever have, with your own two eyes, from above, in silence. And now, gently, we turn away from it. not with sadness, for we will return. We simply let ourselves drift a little further out, into the space between the Earth and its one faithful companion, the Moon. For the Moon is our first destination, the first stone across the stream, the nearest world to our own. The Moon draws closer now, growing from a pale coin into a vast grey sphere of stone. It is a still and silent place, a world with no air and no water and no sound at all. Its face is marked with great dark plains that the old astronomers, long ago, mistook for seas, and named them so: the Sea of Tranquility, the Sea of Serenity, the Ocean of Storms. There is no water in them, and there never was. They are ancient fields of hardened rock, where rivers of lava cooled and set, billions of years ago, and have not moved since. And all across the Moon's pale skin are the craters, thousands upon thousands of them, round scars left by falling stones over countless ages, preserved perfectly in the stillness, for there is no wind here to wear them away, and no rain to soften them. Drift low over that grey and silver landscape now, over the mountains that cast long black shadows, over the dust that has lain undisturbed for 1,000 million years. Somewhere down there, in that dust, are a few faint footprints, the marks of the only other world that human feet have ever touched. They are still there, exactly as they were left, for nothing here has moved to cover them. And they will remain there, unchanged, longer than any city on Earth will stand. The Moon holds the Earth's oceans in its gentle grip, you know. It is the Moon's soft and patient pull that lifts the tides, twice each day, all around the world, the slow breathing of the sea, in and out, following the Moon across the sky. And long ago, the Moon was closer, and the days were shorter, and it has been drifting slowly away from us, a little each year, for billions of years. Even our nearest companion is quietly leaving, on a journey of its own, too slow to ever see. But we cannot linger. For the Moon, close as it feels, is only the first small step. Let us rise up from its silent plains and turn, now, toward the source of all the light, toward our star, the Sun. To reach it, we must cross a great gulf of empty space, far wider than the gap we have already crossed. And as we drift across it, notice how dark and how empty this space truly is. There is almost nothing here, no air, no dust to speak of, only the thin and endless dark, and the steady light of distant stars, and ahead of us, growing slowly brighter, the great golden fire of the Sun. It grows, until it fills the whole of the view ahead, a vast and boiling ocean of fire, so bright that we must soften it in our minds to look upon it at all. The Sun. Our star. The heart of everything we know. It is a sphere of glowing gas so enormous that if it were hollow, you could pour more than 1,000,000 Earths inside it, and still have room to spare. It is not solid, and it has no surface you could stand upon. It is fire, all the way through, a churning, seething, endless furnace. And upon its face, great arcs of flame leap up and curl back down, loops of burning gas larger than a dozen Earths set side by side, rising and falling in slow, silent grace. Dark cooler patches drift across it, the sunspots, each one a storm wider than our whole world. And from its surface streams the light, the same light that, 8 minutes from now, will fall upon the sleeping Earth behind us, and warm the seas, and feed the forests, and paint the morning sky. Every ray of sunlight you have ever felt on your skin began here, in this fire, and crossed all that empty dark to reach you. At its very core, unimaginably deep beneath that burning surface, the Sun is crushing the smallest pieces of matter together under the weight of its own vast size, and in that crushing, it makes light. For 1,000,000 tons of the Sun turn into pure light every single second, and have done, without pause, for 4.5 billion years, and will go on doing for billions more. It is a fire that has been burning since long before the Earth had oceans, since long before there was any life to look up and wonder at it. And it will go on burning, faithfully, long after tonight is forgotten. But vast as it is, vast beyond all imagining, the great engine that holds all the planets in their slow and circling dance, the Sun is only a star. One star. An ordinary, middle-sized, yellow star, of a kind so common that our galaxy holds hundreds of billions like it. And it is only the beginning of how large things become. So let us leave the warmth of it now, and turn our faces outward once again, into the dark, for there are worlds still ahead of us, cold and strange and beautiful, and beyond them, the true depths of the journey are only starting to open. Outward, then, past the Sun, into the realm of the planets. The first worlds we pass are small and rocky, close to the fire. There is Mercury, a little scorched world of grey stone, racing quickly around the Sun, its days a furnace and its nights a bitter frost. It has no air to hold the warmth, and so it swings between burning and freezing with nothing in between. It is a cratered, silent place, not so different in its face from the Moon we have just left, a small, bare stone, turning slowly in the brightness. Beyond it drifts Venus, wrapped from pole to pole in thick and glowing cloud. From a distance it is the most beautiful of all the planets, a smooth pearl of soft gold and cream, shining brighter than anything in our night sky but the Moon. And yet beneath those lovely clouds lies a world of terrible heat, an air so thick and so heavy with warmth that it is hotter than a furnace, hot enough to melt lead, hotter even than Mercury, though it lies further from the Sun. The clouds that make it so lovely are the very thing that trap the heat below. It is a reminder, drifting there in its golden veil, of how gentle and how rare our own soft world truly is. And then we pass our own blue Earth again, small now and far below and behind us, and beside it the pale grey point of the Moon, the two of them turning together through the dark, a world and its companion, growing smaller as we go. Wave to them, gently, as we pass. We will see them again. Ahead lies Mars, the red world, the rust-colored desert planet, half the size of Earth and cold and dry. Its deserts are vast and still, strewn with ancient stones, its sky a soft butterscotch by day. There are great volcanoes here, long dead now, one of them, Olympus Mons, so tall it would pierce clean through 3 times the height of Everest, the largest mountain on any world we know. And there are canyons here so long they would stretch across an entire continent on Earth. Long ago, it seems, there were rivers on Mars, and perhaps even seas. But the little world could not hold on to its air or its warmth, and slowly, over billions of years, its water froze and its rivers ran dry, and it became the quiet red desert it is today, waiting patiently beneath its thin and dusty sky. Past Mars, the planets thin out, and we cross a wide and empty band of space scattered with rubble and stone, the asteroid belt. Do not imagine a thick and crowded field of tumbling rocks, the way it is sometimes pictured. The truth is far emptier, and far lonelier. The asteroids are spread so thinly across such an enormous space that if you stood upon one, you would very likely see no other at all, only the distant Sun, and the endless dark, and perhaps, if you were fortunate, one faint and drifting point of light, a fellow stone, 1,000,000 miles away. They are the leftover pieces of the making of the worlds, the rubble that never quite gathered itself into a planet, drifting now, cold and quiet, in slow and patient circles. Among them float Ceres, the largest, a small round world of ice and rock, once thought a planet in its own right. And now, beyond the belt, we come to the giants. The space grows even wider here, the distance is even greater, and the Sun behind us has shrunk to a small and brilliant point, no longer a great fire but only the brightest of the stars. Ahead, growing slowly out of the dark, is the largest planet of them all, Jupiter. Jupiter is a world so vast that all the other planets together could fit inside it, with room to spare. It is a giant ball of gas and cloud, with no solid ground at all, banded in soft stripes of cream and amber and rust, great slow rivers of storm circling endlessly around it. and upon its face turns the great red spot, a single storm so wide that the whole of the Earth could vanish inside it, a storm that has been turning, without pause, for centuries, perhaps for far longer. Around Jupiter drift dozens of moons, little worlds of their own, icy Europa, with a hidden ocean beneath its frozen shell, more water than all the seas of Earth, and Io, the most volcanic world in all the solar system, painted in yellows and reds, forever cracking and burning under Jupiter's mighty pull. Jupiter is a king among planets, and it holds its court of moons around it like a small solar system all its own. Onward, and further out, to Saturn, the jewel of the whole of the Sun's family. Saturn is a giant too, a great soft sphere of gold, a little smaller than Jupiter and lighter than water. But it is not the planet that stops the breath, it is the rings. Those wide and shining rings, sweeping all the way around it, bright and delicate and impossibly fine. They are made of countless pieces of ice and stone, from grains no larger than dust to boulders the size of houses, each one a tiny moon in its own orbit, all of them together catching the distant sunlight and glowing like a halo, like a ring of soft and frozen light. And though they stretch across a span so wide that they would nearly reach from the Earth to the Moon, they are, in places, only as thick as the height of a house. A vast and gleaming disk, wider than a world, and thinner than a whisper. Drift slowly over them now, and watch the light move across them, and let the quiet beauty of it settle you. And around these giant worlds drift the great moons, little worlds in their own right, some of them stranger and more wonderful than the planets themselves. Drift down toward Saturn's largest moon, Titan, a great orange world wrapped in a thick and hazy sky, the only moon in all the solar system with an atmosphere to call its own. And beneath that golden haze, Titan hides something no other world can boast, seas. Not seas of water, for it is far too cold for that, colder than the deepest winter you could imagine, but seas of liquid methane and ethane, cold rivers and cold lakes and cold slow rains, falling softly through the orange air onto shores of frozen ice. There are lakes on Titan larger than the Great Lakes of the Earth, lying still and dark beneath a sky the color of amber, where a strange, cold rain falls in slow and heavy drops, so gently, through the dim and golden light. It is an alien world, and yet a strangely peaceful one, quiet beneath its hazy veil. And out among the moons of Jupiter drifts Europa, a smooth white world of ice, its surface cracked and veined like a polished marble, criss-crossed with long faint lines. And beneath that shell of ice, this is the wonder of it, there lies an ocean. A vast, deep, dark ocean of liquid water, wrapped all the way around the moon beneath its frozen crust, kept warm and liquid by the great tides of Jupiter's pull, holding within it more water than all the seas of the Earth combined. It has been there, that hidden ocean, dark and silent, for billions of years. And some who study these things allow themselves to wonder, quietly, whether in that deep and lightless sea, far beneath the ice, something might stir, and drift, and live. We do not know. It is one more gentle mystery, drifting in the outer dark. And there is Enceladus, a small and brilliant white moon of Saturn, the whitest and most reflective world in all the solar system, coated in fresh clean ice, and from great cracks near its south pole, it sends up soaring fountains of icy spray, geysers of frozen water vapor jetting hundreds of miles up into space, feeding one of Saturn's faint outer rings with their glittering mist. A tiny world, endlessly breathing out its hidden sea into the dark. And there is Io, forever burning and cracking, and battered Ganymede, larger than the planet Mercury, and dozens more, each one a small frozen world, turning slowly around its giant, in the deep cold and the deep quiet, so very far from the warmth of the sun, whole families of little worlds, out here at the edge of the light, that no human eye has ever seen up close save through the eyes of the small brave machines we sent to drift among them. Beyond Saturn, the two ice giants, far and cold and dim. Uranus, a smooth pale sphere of soft blue-green, tipped over on its side so that it rolls around the sun like a ball rather than spinning like a top, knocked over, long ago, by some great and ancient blow. And furthest of the giants, deep blue Neptune, the last of the great planets, a world of the deepest ocean blue, where the fastest winds in all the solar system race around in silence, faster than the speed of sound, through a cold so bitter it can scarcely be imagined. Out here, the sun is only a bright star, and gives almost no warmth at all. These are the outer marches of the sun's kingdom, the cold and quiet edge of the realm of worlds. And past Neptune, we come to the frozen frontier, the Kuiper Belt. Here, in the deep cold and the deep dark, drifts a great scattered ring of icy worlds, small and frozen and old, the leftover crumbs from the making of the planets, preserved out here in the freezer of the outer dark. Among them turns Pluto, once counted the 9th planet, now known as the first and grandest of these frozen worlds. It is a small place, smaller than our own moon, but it is a world all its own, with pale plains of frozen nitrogen shaped like a great soft heart, and mountains of water ice hard as stone, and a thin blue haze of a sky, and a great companion moon almost half its own size, the two of them turning forever around each other in the far and frozen dark. Out here, the sun is so distant that noon is dimmer than the moonlight on Earth, and a single circle around the sun takes 250 years, so that Pluto has not yet completed even one of its long, slow years since the day it was first discovered. We have come a very long way now. Further than almost any machine our hands have ever built. And yet, and here is the first of the great surprises of the journey, we have barely begun. For beyond Pluto, beyond the frozen belt, the true emptiness begins. And it is wider, and stranger, and more silent than anything we have yet crossed. Let us drift on, then, past the last of the frozen worlds, out toward the true edge of the sun's domain. For the sun does more than give light, it breathes. From its burning surface streams a constant, gentle wind, a whisper of tiny particles flowing outward in every direction, filling the space between the planets, blowing softly past the worlds. And this solar wind blows outward, and outward, growing thinner and slower with every mile, until at last, far beyond Pluto, it grows so faint that it can push no further. There, in the deep dark, it finally meets the thin, cold gas that drifts between the stars, and it slows, and it stops. And that meeting place, that vast and invisible shore where the sun's breath finally gives out, is the true edge of the solar system. They call it the heliopause. The end of the sun's kingdom. The last frontier before the space between the stars. Only a single pair of travelers, made by human hands, have ever crossed that shore. Two small machines, launched near half a century ago, that flew past the giant planets one by one and then sailed onward, out and out, faster than anything we had ever sent before, and even so, it took them decades of silent flight to reach that edge. They have crossed it now, both of them, and passed out of the sun's domain entirely, into interstellar space, the space between the stars. They are still out there, drifting, growing colder and quieter, their faint voices growing ever fainter as they go. And on board each of them is a small golden record, carrying the sounds of the earth, music, and laughter, and greetings in 100 languages, and the sound of a human heartbeat, sent out into the dark, on the smallest of chances that some day, some far and distant age from now, something out there might find it, and know that once, on a small blue world, there was life, and it wandered, and it reached outward into the night. And now we cross that shore ourselves. And the sun, behind us, is no longer a fire, no longer even a disk, it is a single brilliant star, the brightest in the sky, but a star all the same, no different to look upon than the others scattered around us. If you did not know it was our own, you could not pick it out from the rest. That is how far we have come. The sun that fills our sky, that rules our days, that gives us all our light and warmth, from here, it is simply one more point of light among thousands, small and cold and lost in the crowd. But we are not yet truly free of it. For before the space between the stars begins in earnest, there is one thing more, the greatest and most distant part of the Sun's family, so far out that it is scarcely part of the Sun's family at all. The Oort Cloud. Imagine, now, an enormous shell, a vast and hollow sphere of ice, wrapped all the way around the Sun and all its planets, not a ring, but a great round bubble, surrounding everything we have traveled through so far. It is made of comets, countless billions upon billions of them, each one a mountain of ice and dust, drifting slowly in the deep cold and the deep dark, so far from the Sun that they feel almost nothing of its warmth at all. And this shell is so vast, so unimaginably wide, that its inner edge lies far beyond Pluto, and its outer edge reaches perhaps a quarter of the way to the very nearest star. To drift from the Sun to the far edge of the Oort Cloud would take the light itself, the fastest thing there is, the better part of a whole year. Every now and then, across the long ages, one of these frozen mountains is nudged, ever so gently, by the distant pull of a passing star, and it begins to fall, slowly at first, then faster, tumbling in toward the distant Sun over thousands upon thousands of years. And if it comes close enough, the Sun's warmth begins to melt its ancient ice, and it grows a long and glowing tail, and it becomes a comet, blazing briefly across the skies of Earth, before it swings around the Sun and falls away again into the dark, not to return for 1,000 years or 10,000 more. The comets that light our skies were born out here, in this cold and silent shell, at the very edge of everything the Sun can hold. And now, at last, we pass beyond it. We leave the Oort Cloud behind us, and with it the very last trace of the Sun's family, and we drift out into the true dark, the interstellar deep, the vast and empty space between the stars. And here, take a breath, and let yourself feel the size of it. For this emptiness is the great secret of the universe, the thing that no picture ever tells you. The distances between the stars are so enormous, so far beyond anything in our experience, that the mind can scarcely hold them. The nearest star to our Sun is a small and dim red star called Proxima, and beside it two brighter companions, the three of them together known as Alpha Centauri. They are our closest neighbors in all the galaxy. And yet to reach them, we must cross a gulf so wide that light itself, traveling fast enough to circle the whole Earth 7 times in a single second, takes more than 4 years to make the crossing. For years, at the fastest speed that anything can go. Those fastest machines we ever built, the ones that took decades merely to leave the Sun's domain, they would take not decades but tens of thousands of years to reach even this, the very nearest star. The space between us and our closest neighbor is so empty that you could place 1,000 solar systems end to end within it, and still not span the gap. This is the truth of the night sky, the truth that the crowded, glittering stars conceal. Space is not crowded at all. It is almost perfectly, achingly empty. Each star is a tiny island of light and warmth, separated from the next by oceans of cold and silent dark so wide that they defy all understanding. And we, on our small blue world, drift in one such island, alone in our own little pool of sunlight, with the nearest neighbor for long light years away across the black. And yet, is it not strangely peaceful, this emptiness? There is no danger here. There is nothing crowding in. Only the deep, soft, endless dark, and the far and gentle stars, and you, drifting weightless and unhurried through it all, carried onward without effort, without fear, deeper and deeper into the quiet. Let the vastness cradle you. There is so much room here. So much silence. So much rest. We drift on, then, past Alpha Centauri, past its little red and golden lights, and onward, into the wider neighborhood of stars that surround our Sun. And each one we pass is a sun in its own right, with its own light, its own color, its own long and quiet story. Let us pause a moment, here in the near neighborhood of the Sun, and let that strange word settle, the light year. It is the measure of everything out here, the ruler by which the whole of the galaxy is drawn, and it is worth holding gently in the mind. A light year is not a measure of time, though it sounds as if it should be. It is a measure of distance, the distance that light travels in one whole year. And light is so swift that in a single second it could circle the entire Earth 7 times over. In 1 second. Now let that swiftness fly onward, without pause, for a full year, through all the days and all the nights, through every hour, without ever slowing, and the distance it crosses in that year is a single light year. It is a distance so vast that our whole solar system, from the Sun to the furthest planet, would be lost within it like a grain of sand in a great cathedral. And the nearest star is more than 4 of these light years away. This is the true scale of the space between the stars. Hold it lightly. Let it stretch your mind, softly, the way the horizon stretches the eye. And as we drift on through this neighborhood, let us name a few of the stars we pass, for they are old friends, these near stars, the familiar lights of the Earth's own sky, and you have seen them all, on countless nights, without ever knowing their distances. There is Vega, a brilliant blue-white star, one of the brightest in the northern sky, so near and so bright that it was the very first star, after the Sun, ever to have its picture taken. There is Altair and Deneb, the 3 of them together forming the great summer triangle that arches overhead on warm night. There is Aldebaran, the calm orange eye of the bull, glowing with the soft light of an aging star. There is Capella, and Procyon, and Fomalhaut, the lonely one, low in the autumn sky. Each of them a sun. Each of them, perhaps, with worlds of its own, turning in its light, unseen. And there, drifting past us now, a small and lovely cluster of young blue stars, gathered close together in a soft and misty haze, the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, that you have seen 1,000 times on winter nights, a tiny knot of blue jewels wrapped in the faintest veil of glowing gas. They are young stars, these, born together from the same great cloud, still drifting together through the galaxy as a family, wrapped in the last wisps of the nebula that made them. To the eye they are a small and delicate smudge of light, but here, drifting among them, they blaze, hundreds of hot young suns, blue and brilliant, tangled in soft blue mist, one of the loveliest sights in all the nearby heavens. Look around you now, at the stars of our neighborhood, and you will see that no 2 stars are alike. Some are small and cool and red, glowing dim and patient. Others are white and fierce and brilliant. Some are golden, like our own. They come in every size and every color, and each color tells you something true about the star, for the color of a star is the color of its fire, and the color of its fire tells you how hot it burns. The most common stars of all, by far, are the smallest, the red dwarfs. For every star like our Sun, there are many of these little red embers, dim and cool and modest, burning their fuel so slowly and so carefully that they will go on shining not for billions of years, as our Sun will, but for trillions, for longer than the universe has yet existed, far longer, so long that not a single red dwarf born since the beginning of time has yet grown old. They are the quiet, faithful, long-lived stars, the most patient fires in all of creation. Proxima, our very nearest neighbor, is one of them, a small red dwarf, glowing softly, that will still be burning long after our own Sun has died. And there, further off, a brilliant white star, blazing far brighter and hotter than the Sun. That is Sirius, the brightest star in all the Earth's night sky, the dog star, that has been watched and loved by every people who ever lived. It is not so very far from us, as stars go, and it is large and hot and young. Beside it, too faint to see without a telescope, drifts its small companion, a white dwarf, the burnt-out cinder of a star that died long ago. For that is one of the ways a star can end. A star like our Sun, when at last its fuel runs low, will swell into a vast red giant, and then gently let its outer layers drift away into a glowing cloud, and leave behind only its core, a tiny, dense, fading ember, no larger than the Earth, but so heavy that a single spoonful of it would weigh as much as a great mountain. A white dwarf. The Sun's own distant fate, and the fate of most of the stars you see. But some stars die in another way, a far more violent and more wondrous way. And to see it, we must seek out the giants. Let us drift on, further out, and let a great and famous star rise before us. It has an old and lovely name, Betelgeuse. You have seen it many times, on winter nights, glowing with a soft and ember-red light in the shoulder of the great constellation of the Hunter. It is a red supergiant, a star grown vast and swollen and old, near the end of its life. And it is so enormous, so beyond all ordinary scale, that if you were to set it down where our Sun now sits, its glowing surface would swallow Mercury, and Venus, and the Earth, and Mars, and reach out past them all, out into the asteroid belt. Our entire world, and the little worlds around it, would lie deep, deep inside this single dying star. And Betelgeuse is dying. It has burned through nearly all its fuel, and it swells and shudders now in its old age, its light flickering slowly across the years. And one day, perhaps 100,000 years from now, perhaps tomorrow night, we cannot know, it will die in the grandest way a star can die. It will collapse, in a single instant, and then explode, a supernova, a blast so bright that for a few weeks it will outshine every other star in the galaxy put together, bright enough to be seen in the daytime skies of Earth, bright enough to cast shadows in the night. And out of that dying blast will be flung the very stuff of new worlds, the carbon and the iron and the gold, forged in the star's last agony and scattered into space, to drift for ages, and gather, and one day become new stars, new planets, and perhaps, in time, new life. This is how the giants die. And in their dying, they give away everything they have made. But beyond even the supergiants lie the very largest stars of all, the hypergiants, so vast they beggar the imagination. Drift on, and let one of them fill the whole of the sky before you. There is a star called Uy Scuti, and others like it, so unimaginably huge that words begin to fail. If our Sun were the size of a single grain of sand, this star would be the size of a great cathedral. If you set it down where the Sun now sits, its surface would swallow not only the Earth, but Mars, and the whole asteroid belt, and mighty Jupiter, and reach out toward the orbit of Saturn, a single star, so vast that light itself, the fastest thing there is, would take not 8 minutes to cross it, as it does our Sun, but the better part of a whole day. If you could somehow walk around it, at a steady pace, without ever stopping, it would take you thousands of years to make the journey once around. A single star. And it is a fleeting thing, this hugeness, a hypergiant burns through its life in only a few million years, a mere flicker against the long ages, before it too explodes and is gone. The very largest stars are also among the shortest lived, blazing with unimaginable fury, and then vanishing, like the brightest sparks from a fire. Sit with that for a moment, as we drift in the light of this Titan. We have come so far from home. The Earth, that great world beneath our feet, is a grain of dust beside this star. The Sun, that boiling ocean of fire, is a small bright bead. And still, we are only at the scale of a single star. Let the largeness of it wash over you, softly, without alarm. It is not frightening, out here. It is only vast, and old, and quiet, and strangely, deeply calm. And now, let us come to the most beautiful places in all the galaxy, the great clouds where the stars are born. For stars are not eternal, and they do not simply exist, they are made, and they are made here, in the nebulae. Drift toward one now, and watch it grow before you, a vast and glowing cloud of gas and dust, light years deep, lit from within by the young stars taking shape inside it. These are the great star-forming nebulae, the nurseries of the sky, and they are the loveliest things the eye can find in all of space. Towers and pillars of dark dust, tall as whole solar systems, rise up glowing at their edges where the light of newborn stars sets them aflame. Curtains and veils of soft red and green and gold hang across the dark, glowing gently, drifting slowly, over thousands of years. This is where it all begins. Deep within these clouds, the gas gathers, slowly, pulled together by its own faint weight, growing denser and denser over long ages, until at the heart of each gathering the pressure grows so great, and the warmth so fierce, that a new fire kindles in the dark, a new star, taking its first breath, beginning to shine. All around the great nebulae, this is happening, again and again, hundreds and thousands of new suns kindling in the glowing dark. And around many of these newborn stars, from the leftover dust, small worlds gather too, new planets, forming in the light of their new suns, just as our own Earth once formed, 4.5 billion years ago, in a cloud very much like this one. Every star you have ever seen was born in a place like this. Our own sun was born in a place like this. And the atoms of your own body, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, were forged in stars, and scattered by their deaths, and gathered again here, in the glowing dark, to become, in the fullness of time, you. You are looking at the place you came from. You are made of this. But all of these stars, and all of these glowing clouds, the little red dwarfs and the brilliant blue giants, Betelgeuse and Ui Scuti and Sirius and our own faithful sun, the nurseries and the dying embers, all of them, every star you have ever seen, and every star that you could ever see with your own eyes on the darkest night, belong to a single great gathering. And to see it whole, we must rise. So let us climb now, up and up, out of the flat plain where the stars are thickest, up above them all, and turn, and look back down. And there, spread out below us at last, is our galaxy, the Milky Way. Rise up to see our galaxy in its full and breathtaking glory. It is a great turning wheel of light, an immense spiral, its arms sweeping outward from a glowing golden heart, wound around and around in a slow and stately pinned wheel wider than the mind can hold. It is made of stars, not thousands, not millions, but hundreds of billions of stars, 400 billion of them and more, each one a sun, many of them with worlds of their own. That same soft band of light you have seen on the clearest, darkest nights, arching faintly across the sky, that pale and misty river the ancients called the Milky Way, that is this. That is our galaxy, seen from the inside, edge on, its countless stars blurred together by sheer distance into a single glowing haze. And now we see it from above, whole and entire, and its true immensity opens before us. Let us drift, slowly, above it, and take in its size. Our galaxy is so wide that light itself, that swiftest of all travelers, takes 100,000 years to cross from one edge to the other. 100,000 years, at the speed of light. Every point of light you can see in it is a sun, and around a great many of those suns turn planets, and moons, and perhaps oceans, and perhaps, here and there, life. Somewhere down in one of those spiral arms, a modest arm, out toward the quieter edge, 2/3 of the way from the center to the rim, is a small yellow star, one among the 400 billion, so ordinary you could never find it from up here. And around that small star turns a small blue world. And on that world, in a quiet room, a body is resting, and breathing slowly, and beginning to fall asleep. That is where we began. That is home. Lost now, entirely, in the great glittering wheel below us, one grain of light among hundreds of billions, and every one of them a sun. Let us drift, slowly, in toward the wound spiral arms, and follow them as they wind their way around. The arms are where the galaxy is brightest and most alive, great sweeping lanes where the gas gathers thick, and the nebulae glow, and the young blue stars blaze, newly born. Between the arms, the spaces are darker and quieter and older. And all of it turns, the whole vast wheel is slowly turning, so slowly that a single circle takes our Sun some 230 million years to complete. The last time our Sun was where it is now in the galaxy's turning, there were dinosaurs walking upon the Earth. The galaxy has turned but once since then. That is the slowness of things, out here at the scale of a galaxy. That is how patient the heavens are. Let us find our own small place in all of this, before we drift on. Our Sun does not live in one of the great bright spiral arms, but in a smaller, quieter spur of stars between two of the larger arms, a modest lane called the Orion Arm, out in the calm suburbs of the galaxy, far from the crowded and dangerous center, far from the blazing hearts of the star-forming clouds. It is a gentle place to live, our corner of the Milky Way, quiet and stable and safe, neither too crowded nor too bare. And our Sun sits within a great soft bubble of especially empty space, a region swept clear long ago by the deaths of ancient stars, so that the space immediately around us is even emptier and even quieter than the space between the stars usually is. We drift, our little solar system, through this calm and hollow bubble, in the quiet Orion Arm, 2/3 of the way out from the center, taking our slow 230 million year path around the wheel. And when you lie beneath the summer sky, far from the lights of any town, and you see that faint and glowing band arching overhead from horizon to horizon, that soft river of misted light the old peoples called the Milky Way, and told 100 stories of, you are looking edge-on, from the inside, straight into the crowded plane of our own galaxy. Every faint point in that glowing band, and the countless more that blur together into the haze, is a distant sun of our own galaxy, too far and too faint to tell apart, blended by sheer distance into a single soft glow. You have been looking at the galaxy your whole life. It has been arching over you on every clear dark night since you were a child. You simply see it now, at last, from the outside, whole, and understand, for the first time, what that gentle river of light has been all along. And consider, as we drift here above the arms, around a great many of these hundreds of billions of stars, their turn planets, worlds of their own, as many as the stars or more. There are more worlds in our galaxy alone than there are people who have ever lived, by far, rocky worlds and frozen worlds and worlds of endless ocean and worlds wrapped in storm, most of them never seen, never named, turning quietly in the light of their own suns, all through the long ages, whether anyone knows of them or not. Our own small Earth is one among these countless billions. And somewhere in that soft glow, we could not say where, our journey began. Inward now, toward the glowing heart, where the stars grow thick and golden and crowd close together, a great swarming hive of suns. And at the very center of it all, at the still point around which the whole immense wheel turns, there lies something dark and strange and mighty, a black hole, a giant among black holes, for 1,000,000 times as heavy as our Sun, crushed into a single point, so dense that not even light can climb away from its grip. It sits there at the galaxy's heart, silent and unseen, and the innermost stars race around it in tight and furious circles, flung about by its enormous pull. It does not devour the galaxy, it is far too small and far away for that. It simply anchors the center, the great dark pivot at the heart of the turning wheel, while 400 billion stars will slowly around it through the ages. We could linger here forever, drifting among the golden stars of the galactic heart. But our journey reaches further still. So let us rise once more, up and out, away from the bright and crowded plane, up into the great empty halo that surrounds the whole galaxy like a vast and quiet sphere. And as we rise, the Milky Way spreads out beneath us, entire, a single glowing island of 400 billion suns, turning in the dark. Out here, in the halo, the stars grow sparse and old. And scattered through this great emptiness above and below the galaxy are the globular clusters, tight and ancient balls of stars, each one a glowing swarm of hundreds of thousands, even millions, of suns, packed close together into a single shining sphere. They are the oldest things in the galaxy, these clusters, nearly as old as the universe itself, born in the galaxy's first youth and drifting ever since in the quiet halo, watching the great will turn below them. To stand upon a world within one of these clusters, the night sky would blaze with the light of 100,000 nearby stars, so bright there would be no true darkness at all. And now, from up here in the halo, let us do the thing that no one who has ever lived has done, or ever will. Let us leave our galaxy entirely. Let us drift up and out, past the last of the globular clusters, past the faintest outlying stars, out beyond the edge of the Great Wheel, into the true dark between the galaxies, and let the whole of the Milky Way shrink, behind us, into a single glowing shape in the night. Everything you have ever known. Every star you have ever seen or named. Every human being who has ever lived, every empire, every song, the sun and the earth and the moon and all of it, together, in that one soft spiral of light, growing smaller now behind us, until it is no larger than a coin held at arm's length, one faint island of light, drifting in an ocean of perfect black. And here we must pause. Because the emptiness we now enter is the greatest emptiness of all. The space between the galaxies is emptier than anything we have yet crossed, emptier than the space between the stars by far. If the stars within a galaxy are like scattered lighthouses across an ocean, then the galaxies themselves are like single grains of glowing sand, set down in a darkness so vast that the grains are separated by millions upon millions of light-years of nothing at all. And yet, the galaxies are not truly alone. For even here, gravity gathers them, gently, into families. And our own galaxy has neighbors, a small and quiet gathering of galaxies, bound together by their slow mutual pull, drifting together through the dark. Astronomers call it the local group. Most of the local group are little galaxies, faint and small, dwarf galaxies that trail along beside the larger ones. Two of them hang close beside our own Milky Way, the Magellanic Clouds, soft and ragged patches of light, small companion galaxies that circle our own, visible on dark nights from the southern half of the Earth as two faint glowing clouds. But the local group has one other great member, a galaxy that is our own galaxy's equal, our sister, our twin, and it is drifting toward us, slowly, out of the dark. Let it rise before us now. The vast and beautiful spiral we call Andromeda. Andromeda is a galaxy much like our own, a great turning wheel of hundreds of billions of stars, wound in glowing spiral arms around a golden heart. It is the most distant thing that human eyes can see unaided. On the darkest, clearest nights, far from any light, you can find it, a faint and misty smudge in the northern sky, and the light by which you see it left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago, and has been crossing the dark ever since, so that you see it not as it is, but as it was, long before there were people to look up at all. It is so far away that its light takes 2.5 million years to reach us. And yet it is our nearest great neighbor, the closest large galaxy to our own. And here is a gentle wonder. Andromeda and our Milky Way are drifting slowly toward each other, pulled together by their vast mutual gravity, closing the great gap between them a little more with every passing moment. And billions of years from now, long after tonight, the two great spirals will meet, and slowly, over hundreds of millions of years, they will wheel around each other, and merge, and become a single, greater galaxy. It will be a slow and stately dance, not a collision of crashing worlds, for the stars within each galaxy are so far apart that almost none will ever strike another. The two galaxies will simply pass through one another, again and again, their stars sweeping past in the dark, until at last they settle together into one. And by then our own sun will be old, and the Earth long changed. But somewhere, perhaps, there will still be someone to look up, and see a new and greater sky. Let us rise higher still, and look out now upon the galaxies entire, for beyond the local group, in every direction, the galaxies stretch away without end. And they are not all the same. Drift among them, and see their great variety. There are the graceful spirals, like our own and like Andromeda, their arms wound in slow and lovely curves. There are the barred spirals, with a great bar of stars across their hearts. There are the little ragged dwarf galaxies, faint and shapeless. And there are the ellipticals, vast, smooth, featureless spheres and eggs of stars, with no arms and no spiral at all, only the soft and even glow of countless ancient suns gathered together. These ellipticals are the old ones, the galaxies that have finished making new stars, their gas long spent, their fires slowly reddening and fading over the ages. And some of them are enormous, far, far larger than our own great Milky Way. For even our galaxy, vast as it is, with its 400 billion suns, is only a middling galaxy, an ordinary one. Out here among the multitude there hangs a single galaxy so vast that our whole Milky Way would be lost inside it like a single tree lost in a forest. Its name is a plain and quiet one, IC 1101, and it is one of the largest galaxies known in all the universe. It is not 400 billion stars, but 100 trillion suns gathered into one titanic elliptical cloud, so wide that light would take millions of years merely to cross it, so large that if it stood where our Milky Way now stands, it would swallow not only our galaxy, but Andromeda, and all the little galaxies of the local group, and reach far out beyond them all. A single galaxy, holding more stars than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth. And it is only one, among the countless multitude, drifting quietly in the dark. Let that settle over you, softly, as we drift on. We have climbed so far up the great ladder of size. From a grain of sand, to the earth. From the earth, to the sun. From the sun, to the giant stars. From the stars, to the galaxy of 400 billion suns. And now from our galaxy to these, the great galaxies, each 100 times greater still, scattered in their multitudes across a dark so wide that a single galaxy is only a mote of glowing dust within it. And still we are not at the edge. Still the journey climbs. For the galaxies, too, gather together, into things greater than themselves. Let us rise once more, then, and pull back further, until the individual galaxies grow small, and we begin to see how they are arranged. For the galaxies are not scattered evenly through space, like raindrops fallen at random. They gather. Gravity draws them together, over billions of years, into great crowds, into galaxy clusters. Drift toward one now, and let it fill your view, a galaxy cluster, a gathering not of dozens but of hundreds, even thousands of galaxies, all bound together by their mutual pull, all drifting slowly around one another in the dark. Each point of light within it, remember, is not a star but a whole galaxy, a whole Milky Way, 100 billion suns, and there are 1,000 of them here, gathered close, a city of galaxies glowing in the deep. Our own local group, that small family of galaxies we came from, drifts near the edge of one such gathering, a great cluster of many hundreds of galaxies called the Virgo cluster, whose gentle pull reaches out across millions of light-years to tug, ever so slightly, at our own Milky Way. And between the galaxies of a cluster, filling the vast spaces, there drifts a thin and glowing gas, so hot it shines in light our eyes cannot see, hotter than the heart of a star, yet so thinly spread across such enormous distances that it is emptier than the finest emptiness we could ever make on Earth. This is the gas between the galaxies, the tenuous breath of the clusters, holding more matter, all told, than all the stars of all the galaxies put together, and yet spread so thin that a whole cathedral's worth of it would hold no more than a few small motes. And the clusters, in their turn, gather too. For this is the pattern of the whole universe, repeated at every scale, the small gathering into the large, and the large into the larger still. The galaxy clusters are strung together, cluster upon cluster, into the very greatest gatherings of all, the superclusters. Rise up once more, and pull back further than ever, until whole clusters of 1,000 galaxies shrink to single points of light, and see how they, too, are arranged, strung along vast glowing threads, like beads of dew strung along the strands of a spider's web, stretching across distances so great that light would take hundreds of millions of years to travel from one end to the other. Our own galaxy, and our local group, and the Great Virgo Cluster, are all part of one such supercluster, an immense gathering of 100,000 galaxies, all drifting together, all bound in a slow and gentle flow through the dark. And not so long ago, astronomers traced out its true shape and its true bounds for the first time, and they gave it a name. They called it Laniakea, a word from an old island people of the Earth, from the far Pacific, that means the immeasurable heaven, the vast and open sky. Laniakea. Our home, at the very largest scale that home can mean. A supercluster of 100,000 galaxies, and everything you have ever known is a single, invisible speck within it. And all of Laniakea is flowing, all of its 100,000 galaxies, our own among them, are drifting slowly together in one direction, all falling, gently, toward a single point deep within the supercluster, drawn by something vast that lies hidden there. We cannot see it clearly, for it lies beyond the crowded stars of our own galaxy's plane, veiled from our sight. But we can feel its pull, in the great slow motion of thousands of galaxies streaming toward it. They call it the Great Attractor, a vast concentration of mass, of galaxies upon galaxies, so heavy that its gravity reaches across 100 million light-years to draw whole superclusters toward it. Our Milky Way is falling toward it, even now, at a speed beyond all imagining, carrying us and the Sun and the sleeping Earth along with it, and we feel nothing at all, no motion, no wind, only the perfect stillness of the great slow fall. Everything is moving, always, out here. And everything is calm. Let us rest a moment in that thought, drifting here at the scale of superclusters. Everything is moving, the Earth turning, the Moon circling, the Sun sweeping around the galaxy falling through the local group streaming toward Virgo, all of Laniakea flowing toward the Great Attractor, a great nested dance of motion within motion within motion, on and on, up through every scale of size. And you, lying still in your quiet room, are riding all of it at once, carried along on every current, and feeling none of them, perfectly at peace, perfectly still, while the whole immense machinery of the heavens turns silently around you. There is nothing you must do to keep it turning. It turns on its own. It always has. It always will. You may simply rest and be carried. And now we come to the very largest structures in all the universe, the grandest pattern of all, the shape into which everything is woven. Rise up one final time, further than we have ever risen, until the superclusters themselves grow small, until Laniakea, that immeasurable heaven of 100,000 galaxies, is only one bright knot among many. And from this greatest of all heights, at last, the true architecture of the cosmos reveals itself. And it is the most beautiful, and the strangest, thing of all. The galaxies are not scattered evenly. They are not even spread evenly among the clusters and superclusters. Instead, across the very largest scales, all the matter of the universe is drawn out into a vast and delicate lattice, great glowing filaments and threads and walls of galaxies, stretching for hundreds of millions of light-years, woven together into a single connected structure that spans the whole of the visible universe. They call it the cosmic web. And it looks, from this greatest height, uncannily like something living, like the branching threads of a great fungus, or the neurons of an immense and sleeping brain, or the finest lacework spun across the dark. Bright knots where the superclusters gather, joined by long shining filaments of galaxies, strung across the void. This is the largest structure there is. This is the shape of everything. And between the shining threads of the web, this is the wonder, lie the voids. Vast, dark, almost perfectly empty bubbles of space, enormous rounded hollows where there are almost no galaxies at all, where the dark stretches on and on with scarcely a single point of light. And these voids are not small. They are the largest empty spaces in all creation. Drift toward one now, into its silent dark, and feel its size. A single void can stretch hundreds of millions of light-years across, so vast that a beam of light would need the better part of the age of the Earth to cross from one side of it to the other, through a darkness almost entirely without stars. There is one such void, the Boötes void, so famous for its emptiness that it has been called the Great Nothing. It is a bubble of near-perfect darkness some 300 million light-years wide, and within all that colossal space there drift only a scattered handful of lonely galaxies, so few and so far apart that if you stood within one of them, in the heart of the void, you might look out and see no other galaxy at all, only the empty dark, in every direction, stretching on beyond all sight. It has been said that if our own Milky Way were in the heart of the Boötes void, we would not have known, until well into the modern age, that other galaxies existed at all, for there would have been none near enough to see. And yet, remember, even here, in the deepest emptiness of the greatest void, there is not truly nothing. The great slow web still threads the dark. And these voids, empty as they are among the very largest single things that exist, vast dark cathedrals of pure and silent space, greater than any galaxy, greater than any cluster, hollows in the cosmic web big enough to hold 1,000 galaxies, and holding almost none. And the filaments that lace between the voids, the walls and threads of the web, these are the largest structures of all. There are great walls of galaxies out there, single connected sheets and strands stretching so far that light takes billions of years to travel their length, structures so vast that they press against the very limits of how large a thing is allowed to be, so vast that, at these scales, we have very nearly reached the size of the whole observable universe itself. We have climbed the ladder to its highest rung. From the grain of sand in your hand, all the way to this, the cosmic web, the final structure, the pattern that holds all the galaxies and all the stars and all the worlds, woven across the whole of space. There is nothing larger. This is the top of the ladder. This is the shape of everything there is. Rest here a while, at the summit of the climb, and look back down the whole vast length of the way we have come. It is almost impossible to hold it in the mind, and you need not try, simply let it wash over you, like the memory of a dream. A grain of sand. A sleeping body in a quiet room. A blue world, turning. A golden star. The giant stars, and the glowing nurseries where stars are born. Our galaxy, the great wheel of 400 billion suns. The other galaxies, in their multitudes. The clusters, the superclusters, immeasurable Laniakea. And at the last, the cosmic web itself, the whole shining lattice of all creation, stretched across a dark so deep and so wide that the mind lets go of it, gently, and simply rests in the wonder of it. You have climbed to the very top of the universe. And it is quiet here. And it is calm. And it is time, soon, to begin the long, slow journey home. But before we turn for home, there is one last thing to see, the strangest and most wonderful thing of all. For we have spoken all this while of distance, of light years, of the vast gulfs between the stars and the galaxies. And here is the secret hidden inside all those distances. To look far out into space is to look far back into time. For light, swift as it is not infinitely swift. It takes time to cross the dark. And so, whenever you look at anything far away, you see it not as it is, but as it was when the light first left it, long ago. You have always known this, in a small way. The sun you see is the sun of 8 minutes past. The starlight you gaze at on a summer night left those stars years, or centuries, or thousands of years ago. Some of the stars you can see may have already died, and you would not yet know, for their last light is still crossing the dark toward you. And the further out we look, the deeper into the past we see. Andromeda, as we saw, we see as it was 2.5 million years ago. The great clusters, we see as they were when the first fish swam in the seas of Earth. And the most distant galaxies of all, out near the very edge of what we can see, we behold as they were billions of years ago, when they were young and newly formed, their light setting out across the dark before the Earth or the Sun had even begun to be. So this journey outward has been, all along, a journey backward in time. And if we look outward far enough, as far as it is possible to look, we are looking back to the very beginning of everything. Drift outward now, past the furthest galaxies, past the young galaxies still forming in the early dark, back and back through the deep past, and watch as the galaxies grow younger, and dimmer, and fewer, until at last they thin away and vanish altogether, for we have looked back to a time before there were any galaxies at all, before the first stars had yet been born. And beyond them, at the very furthest edge of all seeing, we come to a wall. A soft, faint, uniform glow, filling the whole of the sky in every direction, the oldest light in all the universe. This is the edge of the observable universe. This gentle glow is the light of the universe's own beginning, the afterglow of its first fire, set free when the whole of creation was young and hot and newly born, and cooled at last enough for light to travel freely. It has been crossing the dark for very nearly the whole age of the universe, stretching and cooling as it came, until now it reaches us softly, from every direction at once, the faint and even warmth of the first morning of all things. Think of what that soft glow truly is, drifting there at the edge of all seeing. For the first long stretch of the universe's life, in the ages just after its beginning, everything, all of space, everywhere at once, was filled with a hot and glowing fog, a fire so dense and so bright that light itself could not travel freely through it, but was forever scattered, trapped, unable to fly. The whole young universe glowed like the inside of a star, a single seamless fire filling all of space. And then, as the ages passed, the whole of it slowly cooled, and slowly thinned, and slowly dimmed, until, at one single moment, everywhere at once, the fog grew thin enough, and cool enough, that the light was set free. In that moment, across the whole of the universe, the fire let go of its light, and the light flew outward, free at last to travel, and it has been traveling ever since, for very nearly the whole long age of the cosmos, cooling and stretching and softening as it flew, until now, at the very end of its long journey, it reaches us here, no longer a blinding fire but only the faintest whisper of warmth, glowing softly and evenly from every direction at once. It is the oldest thing you could ever see. It is a photograph of the universe in its infancy, the light of its very first morning, still arriving, gently, after all this time. And it falls upon us from everywhere, all the time, a soft and ancient warmth, filling the whole of the sky, the afterglow of creation, the first light of all things, whispering quietly at the edge of the dark. We cannot see past it. It is the furthest wall, the edge of all that can be seen, not the edge of the universe itself, but the edge of the part of it whose light has had time, in all the ages since the beginning, to reach us. Beyond this wall lies more universe still, but its light has not yet had time to cross the gulf to our eyes, and perhaps it never will. And now, at the last, let the whole of it stand before you, the entire observable universe, the whole vast sphere of everything we can see, gathered into a single view. From its center, where a small blue world is sleeping, all the way out to that first faint wall of light, it stretches. And its size is the final wonder, the largest number of the whole long climb, from edge to edge. The observable universe is more than 90 billion light-years across. And it holds, as near as we can count them, 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion. Each one a Milky Way or greater, each one hundreds of billions of suns, each sun with worlds perhaps, and moons, and seas. 2 trillion galaxies, woven into the great cosmic web, scattered across 90 billion light-years of space, every one of them turning, and shining, and drifting, quietly, through the endless dark. There are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of sand on every beach and in every desert of the earth, many, many more. The number is so far beyond us that it ceases to be a number at all, and becomes something more like the sea, or the sky, simply a vastness, in which the mind lets go, and floats. And what lies past the edge? What lies beyond that last faint wall of light? We do not know. We cannot know, not tonight, and perhaps not ever, for its light may never reach us. But everything we understand suggests that the universe does not simply end there, at the edge of our seeing. That wall is not a true edge, only the limit of our sight. Beyond it, the galaxies almost surely go on, more of them, and more, out and out, perhaps without any end at all. The universe may be far larger than the part we can see, it may be unimaginably larger, it may, for all we can tell, be infinite, stretching on forever in every direction, an endless ocean of galaxies of which our whole vast observable universe is only one small, quiet bay. We stand at the edge of what we can see, and we look out into a dark whose far shore we will never reach, and we simply do not know how far it goes. And there is a deep and gentle peace in that not knowing. Some things are meant to remain a mystery. Some doors are meant to stay softly closed. It is enough, tonight, to have come this far, to have stood at the very edge of the seeable, and looked out and wondered. It is enough. It is more than enough. And now it is time to come home. Yet linger with me one moment longer, here at the edge of all things, before we turn for home. For there are two last quiet marvels to wonder at, and this is the place to hold them, drifting weightless at the furthest shore, with the whole of the universe spread out behind us. The first is this. How can we possibly know all of it? How can we, small creatures on one small world, who have never sailed further than our own moon with our own hands, how can we know the size of the galaxy, or the number of the stars, or what lies at the edge of the observable universe, 90 billion light-years away? It seems almost impossible. And yet the answer is a gentle one, and it lies in the light. For light is a messenger. Everything out there, every star, every galaxy, every glowing cloud, sends its light streaming across the dark, and that light carries within it, folded up in its colors, the whole story of the thing that sent it. Its warmth, and its size, and what it is made of, and how fast it is moving, and how far it has come. And so, patiently, over the long centuries, watching that light through their telescopes, gathering it, spreading it into its colors, reading the story written in it, people have learned to hear what the light is telling them. Every fact we drifted past tonight, every distance, every number, was read, gently, from starlight, by patient watchers on a small blue world. Think of them, for a moment, the patient watchers. Think of all the quiet astronomers, across all the long years, who sat awake through the cold nights while the rest of the world slept, their eyes to the glass, drinking in the faint and ancient light of things unimaginably far away, and slowly, carefully, night by night, piecing together the shape of the whole. They built greater and greater telescopes, great eyes of glass and metal, and set them on mountaintops above the clouds, and at last lifted them above the air entirely, out into space, where they could gaze out into the dark without so much as a breath of atmosphere to blur the view. And through those great eyes, we have seen further than any people who ever lived, back almost to the very beginning of time, out almost to the very edge of the seeable. All of it gathered, softly, from light. All of it read from the faint and patient messengers streaming in from the deep. There is something wonderfully gentle in that we came to know the universe not by conquering it, not by crossing it, but simply by sitting still, in the dark, and paying quiet and loving attention to its light. And let me tell you one small story of that patient watching, for it is perhaps the most wonderful thing that the patient watchers ever did. Not so very long ago, those who tended the great telescope that floats above the air made a strange and daring choice. They chose a single tiny patch of the night sky, a patch so small you could hide it behind a single grain of sand held at arm's length, and a patch, moreover, that seemed utterly empty, a little scrap of pure black nothing, with not a single visible star within it. And they pointed the great telescope at that one empty speck, and they held it there, perfectly still, and they let it gather the faint light falling from that tiny window for hours, and for days, drinking in whatever few and feeble photons had crossed the dark to reach it. And when at last they gathered up that light and looked at what it showed, that little scrap of seeming nothing, that empty grain of sky, it was not empty at all. It was full. It was crowded, from edge to edge, with galaxies. Thousands of them. Great spirals and golden ellipticals and little ragged wisps of light, thousands upon thousands of whole galaxies, each one a Milky Way of hundreds of billions of stars, all crammed into that one tiny window that had looked, to the eye, like empty dark. And these were among the most distant things ever seen. Their light had been traveling toward us for billions upon billions of years, setting out when the universe was young. In one grain of sky. Thousands of galaxies. And every other grain of the whole sky, in every direction, holds just as many. That is how full the universe is. That is how the 2 trillion galaxies were counted, not by seeing them all, for we never could, but by looking, with infinite patience, at one small empty speck, and finding it overflowing, and understanding, gently, that all the rest must be the same. There is no true emptiness up there. Every dark and vacant scrap of sky is a deep well brimming with distant light, if only you have the patience to wait, and gather it, and see. And the second marvel is stranger still, and stranger to hold, and yet in its own way the most peaceful thought of all. It is this: the whole universe is growing. Not growing outward into some empty space beyond it, for there is no beyond, no edge for it to grow into. It is space itself that is growing, swelling, stretching, everywhere at once, all the time. Every galaxy is drifting away from every other galaxy, not because they are flying apart through space, but because the very space between them is quietly, endlessly expanding, carrying them apart like markings drawn on a balloon that is slowly being filled. The further away a galaxy is, the faster it drifts from us, for there is more space between us, and more space to stretch. And the most distant galaxies of all, out near the edge of our seeing, are drifting away so swiftly, carried on so much stretching space, that their light strains ever harder to reach us, reddening and dimming as it comes. This has been happening since the very beginning, since that first hot fire whose afterglow we saw, glowing softly at the edge. Everything began, near 14 billion years ago, unimaginably small and hot and dense, and in a single instant it began to expand, and it has been expanding ever since, cooling, and spreading, and quieting, for all the long ages, until it became the vast and gentle dark we have drifted through tonight. The stretching of space is the great slow breath of the universe, a breath begun at the dawn of time, that is drawing outward still, and will go on drawing outward, it seems, forever. And in the deepest depths of time, far, far beyond tonight, beyond even the death of the sun, beyond the merging of our galaxy with Andromeda, this gentle drifting apart will carry the galaxies so far from one another that, in the end, from any single world, the others will all have drifted away beyond the edge of seeing, over the horizon of the visible, one by one, into the dark. The universe is not growing more crowded with the ages, it is growing more spacious, more quiet, more still, settling, slowly, over unimaginable spans of time, toward a great and gentle rest. Everything is drifting, softly, toward stillness. Even the cosmos, it seems, is being tucked in for the night, over billions upon billions of years, growing calmer, and darker, and more peaceful, as it goes. And is that not a strangely soothing thing to know? That rest is written into the very shape of everything? That the whole vast universe, for all its fire and all its fury, is drifting, in the end, toward quiet? You are part of that great settling tonight. As you lie here, growing heavier, growing stiller, drifting down toward sleep, you are doing only what the whole cosmos is doing, on its own unimaginable scale, letting go, softening, coming slowly to rest. There is no hurry anywhere in it. The stars have all the time there is. And so do you, tonight. There is nothing left to reach for. There is nothing left to hold. And now, truly, it is time to come home. So let us begin the long, slow journey home. And as we turn and start the long fall back toward that one small blue world, let everything grow softer now. Let the voice grow quieter and slower. Let your breathing settle into its own gentle rhythm. There is nothing more to reach for out here at the edge. We have seen it all, and now there is only the long, sweet drift back down through everything we passed, and into sleep. You do not need to stay awake for the journey home. If you drift off along the way, that is exactly right. That is what this is for. We fall back, gently, from the edge of all seeing. The first faint wall of light fades softly behind us. And the 2 trillion galaxies gather once more before us, no longer strange, no longer overwhelming, only beautiful now, only familiar, like a great and glowing field of quiet fires, welcoming us back. We drift down through them, slowly, and the cosmic web receives us, its shining threads and filaments passing gently by, its great dark voids drifting below like calm and silent seas. There is no fear in them now. Only rest. Down through the superclusters we fall, softly, and immeasurable Laniakea opens once more around us, 100,000 galaxies, all flowing gently together, and us among them now, carried home on the same slow current. Down toward our own supercluster, and our own great Virgo cluster, its 1,000 galaxies glowing warmly in the dark, closer now, and closer. And there, near its edge, a small and quiet gathering, the local group, our own little family of galaxies, our home neighborhood in all the vastness. We are nearly home now. Let yourself grow heavier as we fall. Let your body sink a little deeper into the bed with every galaxy we pass. Let the falling be slow now. There is no hurry in it, none at all. We have all the time there is. Feel how each thing we pass grows a little more familiar, a little more like home, the strangeness of the great edge softening behind us, the deep cold giving way, slowly, to the gentle warmth of the places we know. And with each galaxy that drifts by, let one more thought of the day drift by with it, and let it go, and fall behind you into the dark, unneeded now. There is nothing to carry home. We travel light on the way back. Only the wonder comes with us, and the deep calm, and the slow and heavy softness settling now through all your limbs. Down we drift, and down, through the shining threads of the cosmic web, past the great dark voids lying quiet and still beneath us like calm and sleeping seas. And you may notice, as we fall, that it is harder now to tell where the pictures end and the dreaming begins, that the galaxies drifting past have grown soft and dim at their edges, that the dark has grown warm and close and gentle, that you are sinking as much as you are falling, down through the soft dark, down toward home, down toward sleep. That is exactly as it should be. You do not need to keep the pictures clear. Let them blur. Let them soften. Let them melt into the warm dark behind your eyes. The journey knows its own way home now, and it will carry you there whether you watch or not. Past the great walls of galaxies, glowing faint and golden in the deep. Past the quiet clusters, their 1,000 galaxies turning slowly, softly, in the dark. Down, and down, through the immeasurable calm of Laniakea, our own vast supercluster receiving us gently, its 100,000 galaxies all flowing the same slow way, all drifting the same slow current, carrying us with them, homeward, in no hurry at all. There is such peace in the falling. Such deep and gentle peace. You are held by all of it, cradled by the whole slow motion of the heavens, carried softly down toward the small warm world where your body lies resting, breathing slow, growing heavy, sinking deeper with every breath. Down toward our own supercluster's heart, and our own great neighborhood of galaxies, closer now, and warmer, and more familiar. And there, at last, a small and quiet gathering of galaxies drifting together through the dark, our own local group, our home cluster, our little island of light in all the endless vast. We are so close now. Nearly home. Let your body grow heavier still. Let the bed hold all your weight. There is nothing left to do but fall, gently, the rest of the way, down through the soft and welcoming dark. And there, rising up to meet us out of the dark, two great spirals turning slowly toward each other across the ages, Andromeda, our sister, and beside it, growing now, growing brighter, growing nearer, our own. The Milky Way. Home. That great turning wheel of 400 billion suns, spread out below us once again, its golden heart glowing, its spiral arms sweeping slowly around. We fall toward it gently, and it grows, and it fills the sky, and we sink down into it, down through the quiet halo, past the ancient globular clusters keeping their long watch, down toward the bright and crowded plain where the stars grow thick. And now we are among the stars again, our own stars, the stars of home. Down we drift, past the great glowing nurseries where new suns are being born, their soft light washing over us as we pass. Past the giant stars, Betelgeuse glowing its patient ember red, the great hypergiants blazing in the dark, smaller now, and gentler, as we sink back down toward the familiar. Past the little red dwarfs, burning their slow and faithful fires. Past bright Sirius, and past Alpha Centauri, our nearest neighbor, its red and golden lights drifting by. And there, ahead of us now, one small and ordinary yellow star, no different from the rest, save that it is ours. Our sun growing, slowly, out of the crowd of stars. Home. We fall toward it, gently, and cross once more that vast and empty gulf between the stars, but it does not feel empty now, it feels quiet, and safe, and soft, like the deep stillness of a house at night when everyone within it is asleep. Past the great shell of the Oort Cloud, its countless frozen comets drifting by in the dark. Past the edge of the sun's domain, where the solar wind begins again to blow. And now the sun is afire once more, no longer a star among stars but our own great golden hearth, growing warm and bright ahead of us, welcoming us back into its kingdom of light and worlds. Down past the frozen frontier, past little Pluto with its heart of ice, past the cold blue giants Neptune and Uranus in the outer dark. Past golden Saturn, its wide and shining rings catching the light one last time as we drift by. Past mighty Jupiter and its court of moons. Across the quiet, scattered belt of stones. And there, ahead, growing now out of the dark, a small point of blue, the loveliest color in all the vastness we have crossed, a blue like no other blue, a living, glowing, gentle blue. The Earth. Our home. Growing, slowly, out of the black. And you have been away so long, and traveled so very far, and here it is again, waiting for you, exactly where you left it, turning quietly through the dark. We fall toward it now, slowly, gently, the blue world growing and growing until it fills the whole of the sky below us, wrapped in its slow white rivers of cloud, glowing softly with its own kind light. And we sink down toward it, down through the last of the dark, until once more we can see the thin blue line of the atmosphere at the edge of the world, that soft and fragile shell of air, so thin, and so precious, the keeper of every breath. And we pass down through it, gently, into the warmth, into the air, back into the embrace of our own small living world. Down through the high and quiet clouds, softly. Down through the gentle dark of the night side of the earth, where the little pools of golden light are gathering below, the towns, the cities, the sleeping lands. Down toward one land, and one town, and one quiet street. Down toward one roof that opened softly to receive you. Down, at last, into your own quiet room, exactly as you left it, warm and dark and still. And down, gently, into your own body, resting just where it has rested all along, on the bed, on the pillow, held by the soft and faithful earth. You are home. You have traveled to the very edge of everything, and looked out upon 2 trillion galaxies, and come all the way home again, and your body never had to move at all. It has been here, resting, breathing, the whole long while, safe, and warm, and held. Feel it now. Feel the weight of it against the bed. Feel how heavy and how peaceful it has grown. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your own slow breathing, in and out, like the tides that follow the moon, like the great slow turning of all things. And carry this one gentle thought back with you from the whole of the long journey. All that vastness, the giant stars, the glowing nebulae, the 400 billion suns of our galaxy, the 2 trillion galaxies of the deep, you are not separate from it. You are made of it. The iron in your blood was forged in the heart of a dying star, long before the sun was born, and flung out across the dark by its death, and gathered here. The calcium in your bones, the oxygen in every breath you take, the carbon of your very flesh, all of it was made in the stars, in the great giants we drifted past tonight, cooked in their cores and scattered by their deaths across the ages, and gathered up at last, here on this small blue world, into living things, into trees and oceans and creatures, and into you. You are made of the ashes of the giants. You are the universe itself, grown quiet and grown gentle, and folded into a single sleeping body, lying still in a darkened room, unable, somehow, to remember where it came from. And that is the softest wonder of all. Not the size of it, the size is only vast. The wonder is that any of it should be able to look back upon itself at all. That the great dark cosmos, in one small corner, on one small world, should have gathered itself into eyes that can look up, and a mind that can wonder, and a heart that can feel the quiet awe of it. You are the way the universe looks at itself. And tonight, the universe has looked upon itself, from the grain of sand to the cosmic web and back again, through you. And now it is tired. And now it may rest. There is nothing left to see tonight. There is nothing left to do. There is only sleep, waiting for you, soft and deep and kind, like the darkness between the stars. So let us rest here now, and let the journey end where all journeys end, in stillness and in sleep. Let the pictures fade, gently, from behind your eyes. You do not need to hold on to any of them. The galaxies will keep turning without your watching. The stars will keep their fires without your tending. The great slow web will hold its shape across the dark whether you are awake to see it or not. You may let it all go now, softly, and simply rest. Let your body grow heavy now, from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Let the softness spread. Begin at your brow, and let it smooth, and let it soften, all the little cares of the day melting away from it like frost melting in the morning sun. Let your eyes rest heavy and still behind their lids. Let your jaw loosen, and your shoulders fall, gently, away from your ears, sinking down into the bed. There is nowhere to go now. There is nothing to carry. Let it all set down. Feel the heaviness flow down through your arms, slowly, like warm water, down through your elbows, your wrists, your hands, all the way to the very tips of your fingers, until your arms lie heavy and still and warm at your sides. Feel your chest rise and fall, softly, all on its own, the breath moving in and out without any effort from you at all, like the slow tide of the sea, following the moon across the sky. In and out. In and out. Slow, and soft, and deep. Let the heaviness flow down through your body, down through your back, sinking into the bed, every muscle letting go, one by one, softening, releasing, growing warm and still. Down through your hips, your legs, your knees. Down through your calves, your ankles, all the way to the tips of your toes. Your whole body heavy now. Your whole body still. Your whole body held, safe and warm, by the soft and faithful earth that carries you through the dark, as it has every night of your life, and asks for nothing in return. And far above you, beyond the roof, beyond the thin blue air, the great universe keeps its watch, turning slowly and silently through the endless night, exactly as it has for all the long ages, exactly as it will for ages still to come. The moon is drifting slowly across the sky, lifting the quiet tides. The sun is burning faithfully on the far side of the world, waiting for the morning. The stars are keeping their fires, scattered across the dark. Our galaxy is turning, slowly, one great wheel of 400 billion suns, and it will turn all through the night while you sleep, and you need do nothing at all. The 2 trillion galaxies are drifting, shining, in the deep. And all of it is calm. And all of it is quiet. And all of it goes on, gently, without needing anything from you tonight, save that you rest. There is nothing you must do. There is nowhere you must be. The whole vast cosmos is turning without your help, and it will still be turning when you wake. You may set down every thought now, every worry, every plan, the way you would set down a heavy pack at the end of a long day's walking. Set it down. You do not need it now. You can pick it up again in the morning, if you wish, but not now. Now there is only rest. Now there is only the soft dark, and the slow breath, and the quiet, and the deep and gentle drift down into sleep. Breathe in, slowly. And breathe out. And with every breath out, sink a little deeper. A little heavier. A little further down into the warm and quiet dark, like a small stone settling softly to the floor of a still and peaceful sea, drifting down, and down, through the calm water, in no hurry at all, until it comes to rest at last on the soft sand at the bottom, and lies there, still, and easy, and at peace. Let yourself settle like that. Let yourself drift down, gently, to the quiet floor of sleep. There is nothing left to do now but drift. So let us drift, together, one last gentle while, through the soft dark, letting go a little more with every breath. If any thought should rise, let it float away, like a distant galaxy passing quietly in the night, growing smaller and dimmer, until it fades into the dark and is gone. You need not follow it. You need not hold it. Let it drift on, and let yourself sink softly down. Breathe in, gently. And breathe out, and let go. Feel how heavy your body has become, how warm, how still. Every muscle soft. Every part of you at rest. There is no effort left anywhere in you. You are as still as the deep space between the stars, and as calm, and as quiet. The great slow peace of the whole universe is in you now, and around you, holding you, cradling you softly in the dark. Far out beyond the window, the stars are keeping their patient watch, as they have through every night that ever was. The same stars that shone on the first people who ever looked up and wondered. The same stars that will shine long after this night is forgotten. They are shining now, softly, over the roof of the house, over the quiet town, over the whole turning world, and they ask nothing of you, only that you rest beneath them, safe and warm, and let them keep their watch while you sleep. And the earth turns, slowly, carrying you gently through the night toward the morning, in no hurry at all. And the moon drifts across the sky, lifting the far-off tides. And everything is exactly as it should be. And everything is calm. And there is nothing you need to do, nothing at all, but breathe, and rest, and drift, and sink, a little deeper now, into the soft and welcoming dark. Let the darkness be kind to you. It is the same darkness that lies between the galaxies, the deep and gentle dark out of which all the light was born, the dark that holds the stars like a mother holding sleeping children. There is nothing to fear in it. It is soft, and it is warm, and it is deep, and it is yours to rest in now, all through the long and quiet night. Let it fold around you, gently. Let it carry you down. Breathe in. And breathe out. Slower now. Softer now. Each breath a little quieter than the last. Each breath carrying you a little deeper down, into the warm dark, into the stillness, into sleep. There is no edge to reach tonight, no summit left to climb, no distance left to cross. You have come home. You are here. You are held. And you may rest now, completely, and let go of everything, and simply sleep. Drift, now. Sink, now. Down through the soft and quiet dark, gently, in no hurry at all. The journey is over. The long way home is behind you. There is only this, the warm bed, the slow breath, the deep and gentle dark, and sleep, rising up to meet you softly, like the sea rising to meet the shore. Let it take you. Let it carry you down. Let it hold you, all through the night. Rest now. Rest. There is nothing more to see, and nothing more to do, and nowhere else to be. Only here. Only now. Only the soft dark, and the quiet, and your own slow breathing, growing softer, and slower, and further away. Sleep now. Drift, and sink, and sleep. And let the great quiet universe keep its gentle watch over you, all through the long and peaceful night, until the morning comes again. Sleep now. You are safe. You are held. You are home. And all is well. And all is quiet. And all is calm. Rest, and drift, and sleep.